7:20, approaching 7:21 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, Blind Awareness Month is being observed this month of May to help educate the wider public about the needs of the community. Well, PAVI, persons associated with visual impairment, they're hosting a number of virtual activities, one of which is a cultural show taking place tomorrow. Actually, it's going to be on the 15th. That's Sunday. Let me correct myself right away. It's on Sunday, a cultural show on WAC radio platforms. It's a non-profit organization, that's PAVI, established in October of 1995. The organization is also looking ahead to Founders Day on May 18th, which marks the year, I think it was 1914, when awareness was raised in relation to the providing services and assisting those with visual impairment. We're joined now by the president of PAVI. He is Bhawani Prasad. And I have to mention that Bhawani, even though he's visually impaired, positions himself beautifully and a lot better than many people who are visually, who can see and sort themselves out when it comes to our Zoom discussion. Bhawani, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Fazeer. Thank you for the compliments. I don't have sight, but I have vision. Good morning to
yeah. You should go into politics, Bhawani. You have real lyrics. Indeed. Tell us about the event that's happening on Sunday, the cultural icons.
Yeah, the cultural icons will feature some of our top calypsonians, blind and visually impaired calypsonians, who over the years have performed at PAVI's Calypso competition, which was an annual affair. And, we thought of highlighting them in this forum. Also, we have guest performers by Asha Kamachi and Lingo, of course, two well-known artists amongst the community, because music is the strong point of blind and visually impaired persons all around the world. And so we thought of pulling the resources together, pulling the information we have together, and showcasing their talents and abilities as cultural performers and icons in their own rights.
So it's going to be on Sunday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on all WAC visual radio platforms. What do people have to do if they're not familiar with those platforms to follow the performances on Sunday? Where do they have to go?
Well, they have to tune into WAC 90.1 on a normal radio, and of course, all radio stations on our internet. So you could go in there and you will be guided on the day itself as to their Facebook and YouTube and all the other connections, because sometimes you say these things and they just give up on you on the day. So once you tune into WAC 90.1 and you try and you log on to them either with a traditional radio or via the internet, then you will get all the particulars, and there will be a link for the contribution of donation towards the effort.
Right, and the event that's coming up on the 18th, highlighting Founders Day, that is the day the Work for the Blind started. That's May 18th, 1914. So it's the 108th anniversary of that occasion. Tell us about the significance of that, please, Bhawani.
Well, the significance of that day is that way back in the early 1900s, there was no activity for blind and visually impaired persons. And a man by the name of James Alves, who was a Guyanese by birth, he lost his sight as a teenager and was sent off to England to receive training. When he got his training, he wanted to come back to the region and do something for those who are blind and visually impaired. And he toured the Caribbean looking for a home, so to speak. And it was in 1914 that the government of the day, or the authorities of the day, decided, look, we're going to give him a try. We're going to give the project a try. And so agreed to put some money and some resources to make sure that things happen, so that blind persons could receive training. They could receive some basic skills, things like handicraft, things like learning Braille, etc. And that is how it all began here in Trinidad and Tobago and spread throughout the region as years went by.
And Bhawani, as we talk about the levels of awareness and understanding of the needs of those who are visually impaired, where are we now? Because this is the month of raising that level of awareness. Are you seeing any improvement in the attitudes towards people with visual impairment? Because we've talked about this before, that many people feel that all you should be doing is just menial tasks and making baskets and so on and that sort of thing. Are you seeing any greater level of awareness and the empowerment of persons with visual impairments?
Certainly, Fazeer, it has come, but we still need to go a long way. But thanks to technology, it is making life much more easier now for blind persons to navigate around, to do things more efficiently and effectively. And there are a number of devices, including your smartphone and your iPhone and all these things, that is kind of leveling the playing field to a great degree. So that there has been some improvement. Also, we see that after much ado, that the Marrakesh Treaty, which allows books to be published without any headache, without any rights, infringing on any copyrights, so that blind person will now have the textbooks at their fingertips. Long time we used to have to take and transcribe these books for these students by hand and all of these things, but technology is making it so affordable now that you could actually print press within a day of requests. So there have been some improvements. The attitude of society has changed significantly, but you will still find pockets of resistance and pockets of people who still feel that the old adage still stands: making baskets, sitting in a corner, putting out your hand, stretching for arms, so to speak. But most and foremost, people are becoming more aware. We see the integration process taking hold now. We have more persons employed in open employment. We have more persons attending quote unquote ordinary schools, with some challenges, but they are, and some of them have excelled. When we look at people like Michael Trestrail, who, some years ago mastered in some of the fields, and we have others who are doing just that, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the region. In fact, one of our colleagues from the region who went to school here in Trinidad and Tobago is now an ambassador for Antigua Barbuda in New York at the United Nations. We had a senator in Barbados who became president of the Senate in Barbados. And we have currently Floyd Morris in Jamaica, who is a government senator in Jamaica. So people are making strides, and the sky is the limit now.
And before time runs out on us, and of course we'll remind everybody about the event that's happening on Sunday, and indeed the Founders' Day as well, before we conclude, what would you like to see as we talk about this month of awareness? If we're talking about this process of advancement, it might be taking longer than we all would have hoped, but at least there is advancement, as you would have acknowledged. What would you like to see happening that would further advance the cause of persons with visual impairment?
Continued support by government through subventions and the community and the public to enable us to get our work done, because we are in the field of rehabilitation, and it does cost us to go out into the homes of people and rehabilitate them so that they can continue living as near normal lives as possible. True enough, the pandemic has slowed down the process, but we hope by 2023 all will be regularized, and that we'll be able to give the kind of training to people who are losing sight, who have lost sight. In the meantime and in between time, we continue with our advocacy, our awareness initiatives like this opportunity here this morning and others. And we could only continue to educate people and to make sure that they change their attitude and change their mindset about persons who are blind and or visually impaired.
And as we just about ready to wrap up our discussion, just to remind everybody, you can contact PAVI at 220-1073. They have their website as well, pavi-tt.com. They're also on Facebook at PAVI Trinidad. And Bawani, just remind everybody again, please, of the event that's coming up on Sunday, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on WAC Radio or Cultural Icons. Remind us what they can look forward to as we wrap up.
Yes, they could look forward to some of the cultural icons amongst the blind and visually impaired, and they include Asha Kamachi, Lingo, David Matthews, who works out at WAC Radio, Niall Manswell, who is well known in the music field, Aaron George, Sonia Guevara. A lot of these people have made their mark in the Calypso arena, and so we're showcasing them, but we want you to also help us to develop the project in the future, because we believe that the talent is there. We want to expose it, and we want you to support it so that we can bring more of that in the future.
Bawani Prasad, thank you very much indeed for taking the time, and all power to you and indeed those at PAVI doing all this tremendous work to assist persons with visual impairment. Thank you very much.
Well, I have to say for once, Fazeer, we have not spoken cricket, but that's one other occasion.
True, we didn't get a chance to talk about that, so let me not start that one this morning, but thanks very much once again. We'll have another opportunity, no doubt, to talk cricket with Bawani Prasad, because he's also very active in blind cricket and indeed the international tournaments that have been taking place. 7:30 in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's take a look at this submission from Yusuf in Marabella. Orchids, once again, very beautiful colors, even with the backdrop of the roof there, which is a kind of disappointing gray, but indeed it probably enhances the colors even more of the orchid as well, as we go to a break.